all the gear that I buy, I'm always trying to find the sweet spot of increasing the production value, but decreasing the amount of work it takes. Like many of you watching, I use consumerism as a crutch, and 2024 was full of it. These are the 6 coolest tech products that I bought in 2024. And it's worth noting that not all these products were released in 2024. That's just when I bought them. And our first category is tripods. Tripods are an incredible pain in the ass, and the Potato Jet small rig tripod is relatively less of a pain in the ass than most other tripods. I think I bought it the hour it was announced. I happened to be on YouTube watching the video of Potato Jet showing how this thing works.
Fastest tripod to set up ever.
And I think before the video was done, I had already purchased it and was shipping it to Delaware. Look at this thing. Boom. All you gotta do is just squeeze this handle and the legs drop down. And then when you want to put them back, you just squeeze the handle and it all just kind of works, you know? I already have 3 Sackler Flowtech tripods, which are pretty handy, and they can support a heavier camera than this thing. But this thing is pretty good. I can take this thing on the Amtrak. I make a day trip down to DC to shoot something. I can like ride around with this on the subway. It's relatively much less of a pain in the ass than all of the tripods. Way to go, Potato Jet. Thank you for coming up with actually kind of a cool product. Number 2 on the list, also in the tripod category, though not technically a tripod, but also from Small Rig, is this tiny little tripod clamp. This thing has a tripod head on top. Obviously, you can't put like a big cinema camera on this, but you could totally put like a mirrorless camera. If you're creative, you can figure out a way to get this to be a pretty decent tripod using something in the environment around you. You can like get this to clamp onto kind of almost anything and hold a camera that I think weighs up to like 6 pounds. This thing can easily fit in my backpack or something. It's way easier to travel with. This is also pretty cheap. I don't remember how much it costs, but it's well under $100. This did not come out in 2024, but I bought it in 2024. I recommend the Small Rig clamp tripod. I don't actually know what the official name of it is, but it's something like that. Our next category is audio. And in 2024, I discovered the Teenage Engineering CM15 condenser microphone. This is a condenser microphone, so it's phantom powered. It also has a little battery in it, so it can phantom power itself. I had been hypothesizing for a while the existence of a small microphone that I could plug in directly to my computer without having to put a field mixer or something in between it and just travel with it anywhere, and it could do really banger audio quality, say if I'm trying to do like a voiceover or something on the fly. I was watching a Marques Brownlee video and he was just talking holding this thing, and I was like, what is that? I want that. And I searched the comments and I discovered it was a Teenage Engineering CM15 microphone, and I think within like 36 hours I bought this. This thing is sick because you can plug it into your computer with USB-C, and at least a Mac will instantly recognize it as a microphone. What I can do in Premiere, I can record voiceover directly into Premiere on my laptop. I could be like sitting on a couch or like a rocking chair or something, and I'm just like blah blah blah, there's my voiceover pickup. It's so friggin' easy. This can also be a great microphone maybe if you have a producer off camera who's trying to ask interview questions that the audience hears but we don't actually see the producer. It also has a micro XLR port. I'm not gonna lie, this is the only thing I've ever encountered that has a micro XLR port, and it is kind of annoying because now I carry around this cable. And so what you can do is I'm going to unplug the actual shotgun I'm using for this. Even though it's switched off, it's being phantom powered, so the little green light turns on. And now you can just hold it and start talking. You can be the judge of how good this thing sounds. You can hear it right now. Does it sound as good as the shotgun microphone, the Sennheiser 416? I don't think it does sound as good as that, which is kind of disappointing because this thing, I think the retail price is like $1,200. It's fucking expensive as fuck. Out of all the tech products we're talking about in this video, this thing makes me feel the most savvy and sophisticated. You can't put a price on that. This thing has let's see if I can show you. It's got a 1-inch condenser microphone inside of this. So you can see it right there. It's pretty similar conceptually to I think the brand is like Newman or Neumann or some shit. You know those microphones that kind of hang in like a recording studio or like a really high-end podcast. Conceptually, this is pretty similar to that, but the packaging is for portable use, and you can, again, you just plug it into your computer, start recording voiceover, and you're good to go. I will say though, this thing doesn't really have a good pop filter, so if I'm talking like straight into it, you probably hear like, yeah. I carry around now the fucking windscreen for one of the Shure microphones, and this thing fits decently inside of it. Check 1 2. Now you can talk a little bit more into it, and the pops aren't as bad. It didn't come with a good case. I got this little clamshell case on Amazon for $5. This is for an external hard drive. Perfectly inside it. I keep this microphone inside this case in my backpack all the time, and so everywhere I go, I now have the ability to record banger audio. Thanks to MKBHD for accidentally recommending this. I don't think he's ever really reviewed this product, but I assure you, it's sick. Is it worth $1,200? No, probably not, but I got an open box deal, so I paid less. The Teenage Engineering CM15 microphone. This is high production value, low work. A sucker-free solution. Our next category is lighting, and this is the cutest little baby Leko light I have ever seen. It's so cute, isn't it? Boom! Yeah. Boom. These definitely did not come out in 2024. I went into B&H and I saw that they had this adorable little baby Leko light, and I was like, oh my god, I want one for myself. And for some reason I didn't buy it for a while. It was dumb of me. I should have bought it sooner. In the back you've got the Nanlite Forza 60B2. It's bicolor. They have them in full RGB. I kind of regret not getting one, but it does tungsten to daylight. But what's really cool about these is they make all these sick attachments. Like this is a 36-degree Leko. Back in the day, I used to set up Lekos in like theaters around Boston, and Lekos were like big lights. The old ones were halogen, and they used to get super fucking hot, and you'd have to wear gloves every time you'd like take these down and just like handle them. They'd been, you know, pouring out 750 watts of power. Never once did I consider actually buying a bigger ETC Leko, but when I went into B&H and I saw this little baby Nanlite Leko, I was like, oh man, this is where we can get higher production value with less work. Look at this thing. This thing has a gobo mount. It's a fully functioning Leko. It's got shutters. It's got a barrel that you can focus the light in and out. It's so fucking sick. What I like to use these lights for mostly are turning it to like, you know, 1% or something, 2%, you know, not very bright, and then using it to give somebody that kind of edge light. Like right now I've got the tube on me as an edge light, giving that little kick. And with the big glassy lens, the quality of the edge light is like very, very glassy. It just looks so nice. I really, really like it. But what's really cool is the Fresnel attachment. Look at that. It's got a lens on here that can focus from 15 to 45 degrees. Look at that. Oh my god. So sexy, right? And it's also got the barn doors. This thing, you know, it probably weighs like 6 or 7 pounds or something. Isn't this just the cutest little baby Fresnel light you've ever seen? There's a lot you can do with this one. This one is really good if you're trying to like light up maybe a wall behind you or something like that. I really like to, again, dial this to like, you know, 2%, 3% or something. Put it behind somebody. Give them that little, just a little bit of like the sexy edge light. Such fucking sexy edge lights. That's mostly what I use them for. You could use them for Leko bounces. You could project weird patterns with gobos. The Nanlite Forza 60 series with the Leko or Fresnel attachment. So fucking cool. You know, it's also a little bit like, you know, it got that kind of masculine energy to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great light. Number 5 on our list, and the second lighting item, is this light from this company, Godox. I was working in a studio and they were using one of these, and I was like, this light is bright as fuck and it is small. Let's check it out. The Godox light at its core is this kind of light matte thing, although light matte is its own brand. This is not a light matte brand. It's Godox, which is a weird Chinese brand that I'd never heard of until I bought this, but I'm really glad I brought this. On its own, this is pretty handy. You know, it's got these like loops in them, and you could like use zip ties or something and or tape. You could tape this up to a wall or something like that. It's very handy. It's got this giant power supply controller thing, which is totally separate from this. And it's bicolor too, right? It's good for a little kind of Pulp Fiction, like, kind of thing. That's kind of fun, right?
We happy? Yeah, we happy.
Not why I bought it, but kind of fun, right? Anyway, it's a little janky, and I gotta say, the way this works isn't the most convenient thing I've ever seen in my life. It does take a little bit of work, but it's worth it. This thing can be built out into, like, it's got this kind of weird, wiry thing that gives it the structure to basically just turn it into a softbox. It comes with this like softbox attachment with a lot of Velcro. It's got different pieces of diffusion that go in front. So you like literally just Velcro this thing on. So there's your softbox. This is a 2 foot by 2 foot softbox, and it's probably about 6 inches deep. It also comes with an egg crate, which is nice because these can be so expensive. This whole kit, this whole light is about I got these 2 of them for $500 each. And what I love about this is this light, just because it's like the nature of it, it's very light. It probably weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. I did get this female to female Avenger knuckle because the thing that it came with, I didn't think was robust enough. This thing adds another probably kilogram, 2 pounds or something to the weight. All in all, this whole fixture here is now about 6 pounds. And what's awesome about this is that this is a very, very nice, super bright and soft light that is very easy to boom up above somebody without a lot of rigging. You don't have to be quite as concerned about safety because like the likelihood that it like falls and causes a catastrophe is just a lot lower because it's not that heavy. I like to boom out these kind of lights if I'm doing like a multi-person interview shoot, like a 2-person interview shoot. I was shooting this 2-person interview with Prince Harry and I wanted to do this kind of lighting. We were using like aperture 300s or 600s and booming them out. And I hired a local LA guy who was like, you know, I think he's in his 50s. He was a veteran. He did a great job rigging all this up, but it wasn't really all that practical. I had been looking around for a way to like get some lights that kind of have a similar like softbox effect, but don't need so much rigging because they don't weigh that much. And this light really caught my attention because it's so bright, it's big, the softbox basically is just built right into the light. It only weighs like 5 pounds. Sometimes we put all the electronics on the opposite side of the boom just to act as a counterweight. That works really nicely. You can do this sort of more elaborate 2-person interviews, each with their own key light that's sort of boomed out over them. You can just use basic C stands. You don't need like big combo stands or any of that shit. The first gig I ever used these for, I went straight to B&H, bought 2 of these, and then I went to Electric Lady Studios to shoot a conversation for Rolling Stone between Cynthia Ervio and Renee Rapp. The Godox KNOWLED 200 by light. Higher production value, less work. That's what I'm talking about. And our final category of my favorite tech in 2024 is cameras. And we have here the Canon R5 Mark II. This is Canon's flagship mirrorless camera. This is a great hybrid camera that both does fantastic stills and it does surprisingly fantastic video too. For years now, I've been a Canon guy. I love Canon. If I were to start today, I might consider Sony, maybe. But I'm a Canon guy. I'm locked in. I had the Canon 5D Mark II, then I got the Canon EOS R. More recently, I got the Canon EOS R6 Mark II. This past fall, I found out they came out with the R5 Mark II, and I found out that it shoots raw video and records onto these CF Express cards, the same cards that my Reds use, and I was like, oh hell yeah. So I sold one of my Red Komodos and I used the money for it to buy this thing. I still probably am not going to use it for most of my like professional work, but as far as cameras that can go with me pretty much anywhere, it's easy to throw it in my backpack. This thing shoots raw, and I brought it into DaVinci. You can do some pretty fantastic color grading with that. Now, in a lot of ways, this camera is just the most incremental upgrade of any of these Canon mirrorless cameras, which I've had forever. The low light performance is pretty good. That had already been pretty good, you know, on some of the other ones. If you're a Sony person, you might insist that Sony's better. The autofocus is really good. Some people still think the Sony autofocus is better. But what I love about this one, it's so badass. It's got all this thermal infrastructure, like vents. Like down here, there's I think the outtake vent. and on the side so it can like suck air through and cool itself off. None of these prior Canon mirrorless cameras had that. They didn't need it. This thing shoots 8K RAW and it writes onto the CF Express card. This thing definitely has overheating issues, and I've had some issues where I was like shooting video with it, not even shooting in RAW, and it's already like giving me a warning that it's getting too hot. Because of that, I might not recommend this as your like only professional camera. But if you're like traveling, shooting like high-end B-roll, the possibilities of being able to do that with this thing, so sick. Not to mention it also shoots bombs, very, very high resolution photos, like, I don't know, 45 megapixels or something. Definitely this camera is not great on battery life, but you can power it over USB-C. If you're only going to have one camera, aside from the overheating issues when you're shooting video, the Canon R5 Mark II gives a lot of other cameras a run for their money. This camera slays. I'm still going to shoot with Reds for my professional stuff, but those are big, those are clunky, they're pretty inconvenient in a lot of ways. This thing can be thrown into my backpack. We're running around, shooting 4K, 8K RAW, banging out some fancy stills. The Canon R5 Mark II. I would probably say that if you are Sony and you're trying to take over Canon's market share, they're making it harder now. Go fuck yourself, Sony. That's what this camera says. For me personally, no hard feelings. Sony's pretty good, you know. Oh yeah, one more bonus product. This definitely did not come out in 2024. I think it came out 30 years earlier in 1994, but it's still sick as fuck. It's sick as ever. My set's falling apart here. This is the Mamiya 7 medium format film camera. You want to impress your clients, this might help. That's why I got it. I can't definitively say it's impressed anybody yet, but it seemed like a good idea at the time that I bought it. Right? This is a medium format film camera from Mamiya, which evolved into Phase 1. I think they made this from 1994 till 2014 when they closed down the Mamiya brand. Are you trying to win at photography? It's a rangefinder camera, which, you know, the problem with that is you can look through this thing and the lens cap is on and you can still see everything, and you might forget to take the lens cap off, and then you blow through some film and it's very expensive and you feel like an idiot later. I got this because a lot of times I shoot these fancy interview setups using, you know, a Red camera or something like that. But sometimes, increasingly, everybody wants a nice thumbnail. Accidentally, my friend Ryan, I had him on set. We were shooting with Joe Jonas, and Joe Jonas's team requested a thumbnail. Ryan had an older Mamiya, and I was like, Ryan, get the thumbnail. And it looked awesome, and Ryan got photo credit. And I was like, you know, I set up that whole thing. I set up all the lighting. Why can't I do this? And so I bought, within like a month of that, I bought this Mamiya 7. And, you know, let's get ready to overcompensate. Not just for a little bit, but for a lot. This can mask some insecurities. This is a really cool paperweight, you know, because realistically, I haven't really used it that much. Let's just talk about the quality for a second. I shot this on Portra, probably 400 or 800. This is the New York City skyline from Brooklyn. The Mamiya 7. If you feel insecure about yourself, if you want to seem like you're more professional than you really are, maybe give it a shot. If you've got disposable income that you want to blow through buying film and getting it developed, I highly recommend this. These are the most exciting tech products that I bought in 2024. In 2025, rather than spending more money on equipment, I'm going to try to spend more money going on adventures to make videos about interesting shit to help all of us, me, you, all of us, get a little bit smarter, grow as people. I don't know. Thank you for finding your way here